Welcome back to The Explainer. Today we're tackling one of the absolute most fundamental and, let's be real, most heavily tested concepts in management accounting. We're breaking down absorption costing versus variable costing. If you're prepping for an exam, or honestly, even if you just want to understand how companies really track their profitability, mastering this topic is absolutely non-negotiable. Okay, let's dive into this. Have you ever looked at a company's financials and just scratched your head, wondering how they can produce the exact same items, incur the exact same manufacturing costs, but somehow report two completely different operating incomes depending on the method they use? It feels like magic, or maybe a mistake, right? But it all comes down to the rules of costing. That exact problem is the source of so much confusion, but today we're going to clear it up completely. Here's our roadmap for this explainer. 1. Two costing methods defined. 2. External versus internal use. 3. Comparing income statement formats. 4. Handling selling and admin. And 5. Avoiding common exam traps. All right, Section 1. Two costing methods defined. Let's start by laying a rock-solid foundation and locking down the basic vocabulary we'll be using throughout this explainer. First up is absorption costing. Just like it sounds, this is a method where the fixed portion of manufacturing overhead is literally absorbed right into the cost of each unit of product. Under this method, the product cost includes all manufacturing costs. That means direct materials, direct labor, variable overhead, and crucially, fixed overhead. They're all bundled together into the cost of the inventory. Now, contrast that with variable costing. The golden rule here is that variable costing strictly bases product costs on variable manufacturing costs only. Notice what's missing: fixed manufacturing overhead. Under variable costing, fixed manufacturing costs are treated as a period cost. They are totally left out of the inventory value, and instead, they're expensed directly on the income statement in the period they occur. Section 2, external vs. internal use. Now, you might be asking, why on earth do we have two completely different systems to track the exact same production? It's a great question, and it really comes down to the audience looking at the numbers. External reporting, which is governed by GAAP, strictly requires absorption costing. Why? Because GAAP wants external stakeholders to see a product cost that captures everything required to make it, including things like factory rent and depreciation. But internal management, they prefer variable costing. Managers need to make quick decisions about pricing and volume. Variable costing accurately shows them how profitability shifts when output changes, without fixed costs muddying the waters. Section 3, comparing income statement formats. And this brilliantly illustrates how these two different philosophies actually physically change the look of the income statement. You'll definitely want to pay close attention here. Just look at this side-by-side comparison. They both start with sales at the top line, and they both end with operating income at the bottom. But the journey between those 2 points, totally different. Under absorption costing, we deduct cost of goods sold to arrive at gross margin. But look at variable costing. We deduct variable expenses to arrive at contribution margin. Gross margin and contribution margin are not the same thing. Absorption groups cost by function, manufacturing versus non-manufacturing. Variable groups cost by behavior, meaning variable versus fixed. Let's move on and see how this builds into a reliable framework for your exams. When you're building either statement, always follow this sequential flow. Step 1. Calculate your product costs, being super careful to remember the different treatment of fixed overhead. Step 2. Deduct those from sales to find your specific margin, gross or contribution. And Step 3. Deduct your period costs to land on your operating income. To really cement this, let's look at a practical example directly from our source material. I want to draw your attention to this single number, $3,000. In our text's example, a firm has $3,000 of fixed overhead during its first month. Let's see how this one number dramatically alters the entire financial picture depending on the method. Okay, so in this scenario, the firm produced 100 units but only sold 80. That means 20 units went unsold and are just sitting there in ending inventory. Because 20% of production is unsold, absorption costing traps 20% of that $3,000 fixed overhead, which is $600, inside the ending inventory on the balance sheet. But variable costing, it hits the income statement with the full $3,000 instantly as a period expense. This $600 difference is exactly why the operating incomes won't match. All right, Section 4, handling, selling, and admin. Let's shift our focus to the most common nuisance area for test takers. I literally cannot tell you how many people lose easy points over the handling of selling and administrative costs, or S&A. Here is a rule you must memorize. S&A is always a period cost in both methods. Never ever capitalize S&A into your inventory product costs. The only difference is where it sits on the income statement. In variable costing, variable S&A is pulled out above the contribution margin, while fixed S&A is pulled out below it. In absorption costing, both fixed and variable S&A are grouped together and deducted way down below the gross margin. Section 5. Avoiding common exam traps. We've covered the mechanics, the formats, and the tricky S&A costs. Now, let's consolidate everything into actionable survival strategies. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is that it holds the key to the most highly testable concept in this entire topic. If you get a multiple choice question asking which method yields a higher income, you don't always need to do the math. You just need to watch the relationship between production and sales. Fluctuating inventory levels are basically your secret decoder in. Check out this matrix. If production equals sales, inventory doesn't change, and both methods report the exact same operating income. But if a company produces more than it sells, inventory builds up. Absorption costing takes some of the fixed costs and defers them by trapping them in inventory, which makes expenses lower and operating income higher than variable costing. Conversely, if production is less than sales, inventory is depleted. Absorption costing releases old fixed costs from previous periods into the current period, shrinking its income compared to variable costing. So the crucial point is summarized perfectly by this quote right from the source material. The value of ending inventory is never higher under variable costing than it is under absorption costing. Because variable costing never includes fixed manufacturing costs in inventory, its inventory valuation will always be lower or at most equal to absorption costing. Burn that rule into your memory, for sure. I want to leave you with this final provocative question. Based on everything we just looked at with inventory buildups, if a manager wants to temporarily boost operating income without actually selling a single additional unit, which method would they prefer? Think about it. The answer is absorption costing, because they can simply overproduce, trap fixed costs in the warehouse inventory, and artificially inflate the current period's profit. Understanding this isn't just about passing an exam, it's about seeing the real-world implications of accounting choices. Keep this explainer handy as you study, trust the structure, and you are going to do fantastic.